All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What's up, everybody? Big Marley 3 from SHIPIT Nation here to break down the Week 5 NFL Tiers Slate for you guys. Before we get into that, I want to mention that we have a 5-day trial over at SHIPITNation.com for only $19. You get to test out everything we have to offer except for our Discord. So go sign up now, and you can get in on the MMA action tonight before all these NFL games start tomorrow. Once you sign up, you will also get access to this 4-hour educational video from our guys Hoop and Tambo. They are two of the best in the industry, and they're giving away all their secrets in this 4-hour video. Hoop talks about winning the Millie Maker last year, and Tambo crushes qualifiers and live finals, so he gives out his strategies for those, along with a bunch of other great information to help you guys become better DFS players. Also, this show is sponsored by Drafters. I built 150 best ball teams on Drafters this year, and it was an awesome site to draft on. They also have weekly pick'em contests available for each sport. Go over there, sign up with promo code SHIPIT, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. They also have an NBA best ball contest that you guys can start drafting in right now. All right, let's jump into this tier slate. By now, you guys already know that I like to start with my quarterback tiers, and those are going to be tier 1 and tier 5. Tier 1 is the tier that I am going to be mixing in all 4 of these guys into lineups. And then I'll try and narrow down my player pool in other tiers, including tier 5. For tier 1, we have Lamar Jackson at the top of the list. And most weeks he hasn't had a stack partner in other tiers, so I really haven't been using him a whole lot. But this week he does have 2 pass catchers. They're just both in the same tier, in tier 8. He has Mark Andrews, who had 2 touchdowns last week. He's going to be my preferred play in this tier, but I also expect him to be the more popular stack option. And then he has Zay Flowers, who should be lower on, and then he has 2 games with 10 targets already this season. So I'm fine pairing him up with Lamar also. But Lamar's one of those guys who can rush for touchdowns. He could also hit that 100-yard rushing bonus, so we don't have to stack him. But I'm going to take the under on those 2 rushing touchdowns this week. I don't think he keeps rushing in 2 touchdowns each week. I think he will pass them into Andrews or Flowers, hopefully. So I'll be stacking up Lamar in my personal lineups. And then our other guys, I like all these guys this week, but we have Tua, who is averaging over 326 yards per game this season. He has the highest team total on the week, just under 30. And then he has one of the best stack options on the board in Tyreek Hill in tier 2. I do expect him to be the popular stack play, though. And he also has Jalen Waddle in tier 4, who is he's due for a big game anytime now, and he should be low owned until he gets that big game. So I like stacking up Waddle with Tua, and I don't mind just double stacking 2 with Tua. And then if you're not using Tua in tier 1, I like using either one of his stud running backs. We have Devon Achane in tier 3. He has had 353 total yards and 6 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Nothing wrong with Achane this week, except he might be popular, and if he is the chalk of this tier, then I'll probably try and get away from him. The Dolphins also have Raheem Mostert in tier 6, and he has 7 touchdowns on the season, which is tied for first in the league. I'm fine using either one of these guys if I don't have Tua in tier 1, and I'm also fine using either one of them stacked with Tua and Hill or Tua and Waddle as well, just hoping that they score 30-plus points this week. Hurts is our 3rd quarterback on the list in tier 1, and he can finally be double stacked this week if we want to. He has A.J. Brown in tier 2. He also has Devontae Smith in tier 4. And then he has Swift in tier 7, who had 4 targets last week. And he can be a contrarian stack, or we could just use him as direct leverage off Hurts if he isn't your quarterback in tier 1. And then last on the list is Patrick Mahomes. And I'm hoping his 15-point game last week keeps his ownership down. I do like him a lot this week, and they have the 2nd highest team total on the week. His only real stack partner is going to be Travis Kelce, but he is one of my favorite plays in tier 3 this week, so I'll be stacking them up a lot. I also like using Kelsey without Mahomes in tier 1. And then they have Isaiah Pacheco in tier 7, who had 3 targets in each of the last 2 games, and he did hit the 100-yard rushing bonus last week. So I don't mind pairing Pacheco with Mahomes or using him as the direct leverage off Mahomes if we don't have him in tier 1. And then tier 5 is going to be the tougher tier this week, but I'm going to go ahead and just X out this Bengals and Cardinals game and not use either one of these quarterbacks. Dobbs really just doesn't belong in a tier with these other guys, in my opinion. So he's going to be the easy fade, but he should also be the lowest owned if you want to take shots on him for that reason. And then Burrow has just looked bad this year, only averaging half of a touchdown and 182 passing yards per game. I'm just going to go ahead and fade him as well. We have Kirk Cousins at the top of the list. I do expect him to be a popular option. He has the highest game total of the week at 53, and we can stack up both quarterbacks in tiers in the same lineup. So I expect a lot of people to go Mahomes and Cousins. Just hope this game scores 60-plus points and is the easy optimal lineup stack. We also have easy stack options for Kirk Cousins. We have Justin Jefferson, who will be the popular play in tier 2. And then he also has TJ Hawkinson in tier 6. I am going to lock in one or both of those guys in every single Kirk Cousins lineup that I create. And then he also has Alexander Mattison in tier 7. He had 7 targets 2 weeks ago, and he's averaging 94 rushing yards the last 2 weeks. So don't mind throwing him in as well. And then the next one on the list is Anthony Richardson. He's the other chalky quarterback I'm expecting this week. And I'm fine using him solo and not stacking him because he has rushed for 4 touchdowns in 2.5 games. But I also do like pairing him with Michael Pittman in tier 6. I'm not going to make a rule to stack him with Pittman, but with my hand builds, I'm sure I'll be clicking on that quite a bit. And I expect Pittman to bounce back after a bad week last game. Jared Goff was more in play for me before Amon-Ra St. Brown was downgraded to doubtful, but his ownership should also go down with Brown out. He has the highest team total in this tier, and he also has Laporta in tier 8, who will be an auto stack if I do use Goff. And then he has both of his running backs that are in tiers as well. We have David Montgomery coming off a 121-yard and 3 touchdown game. I like using Montgomery if I'm not using Goff in tier 5. And then we have Gibbs, who is questionable, but if he plays, I like using him as a Goff stack option. We could put Gibbs and Laporta in the same lineup, pair him up with Goff, and just hope that he gets some of those St. Brown targets. And then the last guy I'm interested in for tier 5 is going to be CJ Stroud. He is averaging 303 passing yards per game, looking pretty good. And he has Nico Collins in tier 7, who looks like one of the best plays in this tier. And he's coming off a 7-catch game for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. I do want to stack those guys up in some lineups. And if you want a run back play, you could throw in a low-owned Bijan Robinson in tier 2. But that is how I will be attacking tiers this week. Once I get my stacks figured out, then half of my lineup is already built for me. And then I can just plug in my favorite plays around that. If you need projections or want to know how I am attacking each tier, just go over to SHIPITNation.com, sign up for that 5-day trial. $19 gets you everything we have to offer, except for the Discord. And I think that 4-hour course alone is worth the $19. So go test it out. I think you guys will want to stick around. I will be back with an afternoon and a primetime slate breakdown. But if you guys can hit that like and subscribe button for us, it really helps out. Good luck in tiers this week. I hope to see some SHIPIT logos up top. Thanks for listening. Go ship something. We'll see you next time.